Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here for today's presentation titled Technology for Community Living, Enhancing Independence. This webinar is a joint effort between the Rutgers University Community Living Education Project, also known as CLEP, and the Richard West Assistive Technology Advocacy Center at Disability Rights, New Jersey. I'm Melanie McGackin, and I'm representing the Community Living Education Project team. Rutgers CLEP supports self-advocates, their families, and the professionals who assist individuals with intellectual and/or developmental disabilities. The CLEP team provides education, training, and resources about the many possibilities of community living within the state of New Jersey. We recognize that every person's situation is unique, and we take a very person-centered approach to providing you the assistance that you need when and how you need it. The CLEP team contacts will be shared at the end of today's presentation, so give us a call if we can help you in any way. Before we begin, let's discuss how you can participate effectively during this virtual event. To maintain the highest sound quality possible, all attendees will initially be muted during today's presentation. This session is a fantastic opportunity for us to learn from each other. So we encourage you to ask your questions, share your thoughts, and engage in the conversation with us today. You can do this by using the Q&A or the chat feature of your Zoom control panel. If you'd like to ask your questions live, just let Mike or myself know using the Q&A icon on your screen, and we'll be more than happy to unmute you when it's your turn. Now, I'm excited to introduce everyone's friend, today's presenter, Mike Murata. Mike has shared countless presentations on assistive technology, and the CLEP team admires his dedication to his field and to today's topic. Mike, I'll let you introduce yourself further. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Melanie. I appreciate it. Everybody's friend. I love it. Oh, that made me really happy. That's great. Hello, everybody. I am now officially your friends too as we go forward. I am thrilled to be here today talking about what I like to say my favorite topic, assistive technology. We'll talk about technology tools and supports to promote independence. If you would like the slides, and you might actually want the slides. There's videos embedded in them that I might not play them all. We might just talk about them, but there's videos, there's links to websites, there's other resources in there. So if you want to take a minute and copy down that link, if you stare at me for just 2 seconds, I'll put it in the chat, but I can't talk and type at the same time. Oh, look at that. And Melanie beat me to it. Thank you. That link will take you to the slides, so you'll be able to get all the information. If you have your phone with you, you could take a scan of that QR code on the bottom left as well. That'll take you there too. As Melanie said, join the conversation. I think that a lot of times in webinars, this becomes kind of a one-way sharing, and I would like to say to you, you are free to join the convo. I would love to have you participate in any way that you are comfortable participating. Put it in the chat, like Melanie said. But the Q&A, if you would like to turn your mic on and talk, that's great too. Give us a heads up that you would like that, and we will go from there to get you in. So I'm perfectly okay being sidetracked. And Melanie knows I love a good sidetrack. I love a good tangent. I'm all for it. We'll get through what we get through. We'll experience what we can. You'll have the resources as we go forward. So there's no pressure, no stress. Let's just enjoy our little moment together and learn a little bit about tech. As Melanie said, I'm the director of the Assistive Technology Advocacy Center. There's my contact information. We also have Naomi as part of our center today. She's not here with us today, but you can also reach out to her. She is our technology specialist and project lead. And then you could follow us on all the socials if you would like to learn more about what we do. I'm going to give you a little bit of information about what our center does, because I think that's valuable. I like to take these opportunities. If it's people that have not heard of our center before, I want you to know that we're here and we can provide some support to you and the people that you are working with, or you and your family as you go forward. So we are the Assistive Technology Advocacy Center. We are at Disability Rights, New Jersey. There's our website, at4nj.org. We are the assistive technology project for New Jersey. Every state, every territory has a project. Their job kind of our mandate from the federal government is to make sure people across our state understand what assistive technology is, how it can help them, and where to get it. Ultimately, that's what we do. Um, we do that through a couple services. We do device demonstrations. If you are interested in technology, but you're not quite sure what's out there to help you, and a lot of times that's the case. And we'll see a lot of things today that maybe might be something that might help you. We can reach out and we can talk with you about it. We call those device demonstrations. You can basically meet with our team or one of our contractors, and you describe the struggle that you're having. We can show you some technology that might work for you and kind of see if that might meet your needs. We also have a loan program, which will allow you to borrow things for 3 weeks at a time for free. And that's really exciting. I don't know how many of us have had this experience. I know I spend a lot of time at Kohl's returning things that we buy on Amazon because they're not quite right once I get them home. The idea of the loan program is to help you eliminate that step. The try before you buy it approach to things. You can borrow things for free and explore them at your home, work, in the community, wherever it is you are that you're going to need technology. And you can make a decision of whether that might help you or not, all without putting out any money ahead of time. You can actually get these tools and try them and have those experiences. So that's our loan program. All of this is at our website. And then finally, we partner with Goodwill Home Medical, which is down in Camden County. And they do a device reuse and reutilization program where they collect durable medical equipment from the community and they refurbish it, clean it up, fix it if it needs to be fixed, and then put it back out in the community for a significantly reduced rate. So if you're interested in that, if you have some things you'd like to get rid of that you'd like to see go to somebody who could use them, that's a great opportunity to do that. If you're looking for something, but maybe it's not covered by insurance or whatever it might be, whatever the reason might be that you might need one of these things, you can go visit them and you can visit their website online, which is linked off of our website, or you can actually go to their warehouse. And if you find yourself in the Belmar area, that's the Belmar, the WR down in Camden County, I would say stop in their warehouse. It's huge. It's like a durable medical equipment playground. There is so much there. And their inventory is changing constantly because they're getting things from the community, they're fixing things and putting them back out there. So those are our big services that we do. We also do things like we're doing today. We partner with other organizations. We look for training, public awareness, providing information and referral, giving people some technical assistance all around this idea of what is assistive technology? How can it help me? So we do a lot of these things. We're happy to chat with anybody about this and spread the word about what we do. A couple things coming up that I want to put on your radar. We also host a series of webinars called Tech Spotlights, where we connect with manufacturers and vendors of technology equipment, and they get a half hour to share their tools and how they might help people. It's nice to kind of hear from the people themselves, the people that sell and create these tools, about how you might use them. So we have a couple coming up in November. There's something called WordQ on November 12th, which is a computer program to help with writing. And then we have Tylo and artificial intelligence coming up on November 19th. All those things are listed on our website. You can register. They are free. So please join us on those days. Everything we do lives on our YouTube channel. Sorry, called it a YouTube website. Apologies, YouTube channel. That is ATAC NJ. Anytime we have a webinar, we post it up there. Anytime we do anything that's recordable, we record it. We put it up there. So definitely check in on that. And then finally, one more, and then I will jump into the actual content. This is a big one. I like to take another minute to plug this one real fast because this is important. What we're doing today is kind of a taste of assistive tech. I was telling Melanie before we started, it's interesting. A lot of times our webinars don't always go deep into tools. Today, we actually will kind of look at a bunch of different tools. We'll talk about them, which is great. But Always think about this. When we put a webinar together, we put a webinar together thinking we know what all of you want. There's 81 of us in the room right now. I took an educated guess as to what you want. Maybe it hit, maybe it didn't. If it didn't, I apologize. First of all, I can keep trying to be better. Secondly, we have partnered with an organization called ATIA, the Assistive Technology Industry Association. What they do is they have a web library of recorded webinars around assistive technology. Those are webinars that you could go to their website and purchase access to, and they would be like $40 per, $50 per, something like that. So an hour webinar might be $50. What we've done at our center is we've purchased a subscription for the state. So we have now purchased a statewide subscription to this. So anybody who lives or works in New Jersey, let me reiterate that one more time. Anybody, doesn't matter who you are. You could be an individual with a disability, a family member, a professional working with them, someone in the community that's just interested. Great, you all qualify. As long as you live or work in New Jersey, you can go to the link that's on the page right here. You can fill out this form. Just basically, it's you telling us where you're from in New Jersey, because we have to prove that because we spent our federal money on this. We will give you a code. You can then return to the Learning Center website and drop any webinar you would like into your cart, add that code, and it will be zero. So there's no cost for you, which is pretty awesome. So this is an opportunity for us to learn about the things that you want to learn about and learn deeper and go into more of these things and learn about these topics. So please share that with everyone. We want to make sure we get our money's worth out of this. This was a big purchase for us, for our center, and I want to make sure we're actually using it. I keep telling groups, I want ATIA to come back to us and say, I can't believe we're losing all this money because people from New Jersey are using this. That's what I want to hear from them. So please continue to use that and go forward and learn about the things that are interesting to you. So let's set the stage a little bit, and then we'll talk about some tools, some stuff. What are we talking about? Talking about assistive technology. I've given you the two definitions on the screen here because I think they help kind of ground our conversation a bit. We have on the left our definition of an assistive technology device. This is the stuff. Any item, piece of equipment, or product system, whether you acquire it commercially off the shelf, modify or customize it. Okay, so this is telling me it's anything. I'm going to boil all of those two things down into anything that you use to increase, maintain, or improve the functional capabilities of an individual with a disability. That piece at the bottom is critical. Any tool becomes assistive technology for that person when it increases, maintains, or improves functional capabilities. So where my smartphone may not be assistive technology to me, even though it technically is, it just might be, or I'm able to use my iPad. My iPad is here, and I mostly watch movies and listen to music on my iPad. I know I'm not a good iPad user, but that's what I do. That's not necessarily assistive technology for me. But move over to my smartphone, same kind of device, but I use that to manage my calendar, show up for things on time like us today, and manage my communications with others in the field. That is increasing my functional capability for sure. That tool is now assistive technology for me. I think it's really important to think about what it is that we're talking about. And equally as important is our second definition. Many people will stay with the first one. Devices, I get it. Assistive technology is tools, it's things, it's stuff. Right? I think that's fine. That's okay. But let's not forget the other side of that, which is the assistive technology services definition. That is any service that directly assists that individual with a disability in the selection, acquisition, or use of the AT device. We can't have one without the other. We have to have these things working together in concert. If they're not, the technology won't be successful for the individual. It will end up on a shelf somewhere. And prior to my job as the director here, I was an AT evaluator, and I have seen situations where tools that we've recommended for people don't work because the service was not provided to support that. Training on how to use it, um, follow up on how to make sure it's integrated into the environment for someone. Um, Maybe someone's needs change and no one retrofits the assistive technology to help them. And then it falls apart and then it doesn't get work, it doesn't get used, and then the solution drops away. The service failed the situation. So those two things are really important. How do we figure out what tools are right for someone? I wanted to put this slide first before we talk about stuff, because we will spend most of our time today talking about stuff. This is how do we get to the right stuff. This is something we use in assistive technology called the SET framework. It's a strategy of collecting information to make sure we understand the individual's needs and then match them to the features of technology that's out there. Anytime you hear someone say, and again, I hear this a lot from being a technology person, oh, I don't want to see that tool. That tool stinks. That tool typically doesn't stink. What you're saying is that tool is not right for me. Tool doesn't stink because I could give you 3 other stories of how it was the best thing ever for somebody. So if it doesn't match your needs, it will probably feel like that tool stinks or that's not a good tool. When we start to look at the needs of an individual, we're talking about who are they? What are their needs and abilities? What are their likes and dislikes? What do they expect to happen by using technology? That is the S. And in the SET framework, it was really designed for children in K to 12 education. So the S is really student. We're going to broaden that because we're talking about adults also. And I think that that's an important thing to broaden this a little. So we're going to say S is someone. It's the person. It's that person's situation. I sometimes say the S is story. Tell me your story. Who are you? What do you like? What don't you like? What have you tried? What haven't you tried? Those kind of things. The environment where you're going to use technology, because environments matter. If I am a lifeguard at a pool, having an iPad as my AT might not be the best solution. So environments matter. The tasks that someone needs to accomplish, what is it you're looking to do? And then finally, the tools. The best thing about this framework is we talk about the tools last versus most times people want to talk about the tools first and then work backwards. Like, I found this great app. How can I use it? The better question is, what do you need to do? And then let's go search for an app, because ultimately that app you found might not be the right app anyway. So let's focus our energies on the right path and explore this idea of feature matching with the technology. All right. That's it. That's my soapbox of the SET framework. I've set it up the best I can on our little time together. I want to talk about some things. When Naomi and I were putting this together, we found kind of 4 big areas we're going to chat about. And I'll show some examples of things. If you have things you use in those areas, please share them. I would love to hear how you're using technology. We'll talk a little bit read and writing, a little bit of note taking, which is kind of writing, but yet a little different, right? So we'll look at that. We'll talk about supports for executive function. And then finally, some kind of broad category, and I mean broad. Talk about community living supports, very broad. But I'll give you some examples of some tools. As I pointed out before, in the slides, you're going to see pictures and videos. It's going to be helpful to have the slides. And I know the link just got dropped back in the chat. I just saw it, so thank you. To go forward, and a lot of these pictures will take you off to the websites where these tools live. You can go out and explore them. All right. Here's where we start. A lot of times, people are quick to say, give me more tools. I have an iPhone. Give me a bunch of apps that run on my iPhone, which I could certainly do that if you wanted. But let's take a step backwards for a second and say, are you using the things that are already built into your tools? I think it's a really interesting spot we live in right now with technology. And I will throw myself under the age bus here and say I am an old time AT person now. I'm officially old time, and that's okay. I've been doing AT for over 30 years now, so that's just where I'm at. 30 years ago, any of the things we're talking about today would have cost us thousands of dollars. Um, Yet, most of these things now live on our computers and our phones already, the minute we open them out of the box. We have technology now that has these built-in accessibility features. Every one of the examples on this slide, text to speech, the ability for your device to take text from the screen and read it out loud. Speech recognition or voice recognition, the ability for you to talk to your device and it to either since I held up one finger, you can talk to your device and it will write down what you said or answer a question you asked. We have the ability for the screens of our devices to be read out loud. An on-screen keyboard is just something that people use now. It's texting, it's using that as an alternate access tool. Scanning for switches, which was another alternate access tool. These tools were thousands of dollars. Now, you go into any tool in front of you, doesn't matter what you have in front of you right now, go to your settings and find the accessibility. And I'm telling you, these things are there. Now, are people using them? That's a whole other story. And so I think a lot of the time what we end up doing is reminding people that these things are in your devices already. You have these things. You can have things read aloud. Here's just a quick example of your iPhone or iPad. Go into accessibility. Open up one of the choices for speak content out loud, which is speak selection or speak screen. Speak selection allows you to highlight text, choose a button that says read it, and it will read it to you. Video didn't pop up. Let's see. There it comes. Speak selection. Go into some text, hold your finger down on the text to highlight it.
It's safe, secure.
Choose speak out of the menu once you turn that on, and what happens? Your device starts reading text to you. You'll notice in that couple seconds of just it playing, it has highlighted that line. So now you see dual highlights. That's a feature of text to speech. Now the line is in one color, the word being spoken is in a different color, helps me identify where I am on the page and focus my vision to the audio I'm getting that support from.
And confidential. Your information and privacy are protected.
Text to speech. Could I show you an app that does that? Sure. Could you buy an app that does that? Sure. You could, but why would you? If that does what you need, you could do that. Now, the key here, and before I go about the key, let me go to the next one, by the way, because maybe you don't have an iPhone, maybe you have an Android phone. Guess what? That does it too. To your accessibility, choose an option that says select to speak, and now you have the same experience.
The first step in designing authentically inclusive educational experiences is believing that it.
Hit the button, choose the words you want to read, and it reads out loud. These experiences are the same. And so we can try this with someone without buying anything, without downloading anything. We turn these on, and what we can do is start to see if this is a tool that has value for the individual. And when I keep saying this word features, and I'm going to say that, I don't know, 400 times before we're done, but this idea of making sure I'm tapping into the right features for me. My suggestion to people always is use the built-in features until you can't. Use them until you look at them and you say, boy, I wish that did this, or I wish I could get it to do, and then you describe something. The minute you do that, you might need to move to something else. So an example here I have up on the slide is an app you could download called Easy Reader from a company called Dolphin. This is a free app. The beauty of this one, and again, I'm a big fan of things that work on multiple platforms. This is an app that will look exactly the same whether you're on an iPhone, an Android phone, an Amazon Kindle tablet, and a Windows computer. This will work everywhere, and it is free. It does have a pay component, but you can get away without doing the pay component. You can use the free and you'll be fine. But why would you move to this? Suddenly I could use Easy Reader because maybe I want to change visually how the text looks on the screen as it reads to me. Maybe I need to add spacing between the lines. Maybe I need to add spacing between the words. Maybe I need to change the format of the font. So if I suddenly need those features, I move to something else. The beauty of this, we can move to something else that still doesn't have a cost, but provides that support that someone needs. This is a great example. It's kind of a next step. Built-in accessibility. Next step is something that you download that still is free. I'll call that free-ish right now. There is a free component and the pay, but there's a free. Then if that doesn't work, then we look to move to something else. But this is kind of a good next step for people. And when we're thinking about how we're accessing print, there's a couple other ideas I'm gonna drop on you that say you don't need to buy anything. If you have an iPhone or an iPad, your Notes app, which comes with the device, has been updated where it will now scan text and then read it out loud to you. So the series of pictures on the left-hand side of this slide, let me orient you to what I was doing here. I had a book on my desk. I held my phone over the book and I pushed the button that said scan text. It scanned the book cover. So I had a print book, a hardcover book sitting on my desk, and I took a picture of it to get it into my phone. The text dropped into the note as regular digital text. Now, what can I do? I can hold my finger down on it like we did 2 slides ago and use the built-in speech to read that out loud to me. So suddenly I can take anything I come across that is in paper. I can get it into my phone to where I can listen to it and then move forward with some comprehension. That is just in the Notes app of your phone. I'll give you one more. Using Google Drive. Google Drive person, I use Google Drive for everything. How about the idea that the Google Drive app does the same thing? I can scan text, open it in that document, and I can pull the text out that I can use my built-in features to read. Maybe I bring that to my computer, and suddenly the picture of text has become text that I can listen to and read. So again, I have all these opportunities to move something from a hard copy, which if I'm a non-reader, a hard copy book is a barrier to me. I'm not able to do anything with that. What if I get my mail and I can't read what it says? What if I'm out in the community and I see a sign on the wall and I can't read it? I'm struggling with areas of independence at that point. These tools could help do that right on my phone. There are others that do that when we start thinking about, okay, I've used built-in and now I move to something else. There are other apps. One is called Text Detective, lets you take a picture and you can drop text boxes on there to type. Say you had an application and you took a picture of it and then you started typing right on your device to put text in there. There's another option on the right-hand side, which is a tool called Claro PDF Pro. Same idea. I load that app in, I take a picture of something, it brings that up in my phone as a PDF, and now I can write text on there, I can draw, I can highlight things, I can do all that stuff right on my phone, again, independently moving forward as I'm looking to complete a task. Here's another example of something. This is if you're doing a lot with fill in the blank kinds of things. Now, when we're in school, we think this right away, I would think worksheet. But it could be things like applications. It could be work forms. It could be something that comes in the mail that I have to fill out and send back. This is an app called SnapType. Again, take a picture of the paper And it automatically scans that paper, and anywhere it sees a line, it drops a box that you can type into. So now I can type right into it and then send that back out to someone as a digital PDF. All of these ways we can get people moving from point A of a process all the way through to point Z. Like, how do we get somebody to independently do this? Another example for scanning text and having it read to you. This one's one, and this is always one of those things where people say, don't say favorites. And I'm going to tell you, although I shouldn't say I have favorites, this is a favorite. I like it. And I like it for its simplicity. That's what makes it a favorite. I like it because it's easy for people to use. This is an app called ScanPen. Works on both platforms, iPhones and Android phones. Interestingly, if you have an Android phone, this app is free. If you have an iPhone, this app costs, I don't know, $5 or $6, something like that. Probably worth it. I don't want to tell you how to spend $6 of your money, but I think this might be worth it. Let me give you a sense of what it does. I have paper. I go back to the issue that I was having before with I have a book in front of me. I need to read it. I use my camera to take a picture of the text. It takes that picture, it translates the text into something it can read, and then I simply draw my finger across the text and it will read it out loud.
New Jersey and New York finally grew tired of all this fighting, and in 1769 petitioned King George to
That's it. That's all it does. Doesn't do anything else. Doesn't save those pictures. Doesn't move them to another spot. Doesn't let me write on them. It doesn't do anything else except that. But you know what? If that's what I need, it's a very good support for that. I don't need to layer tools together like we saw with the Notes app and the built-in accessibility. It's all one piece. So when I start thinking about someone who needs that functionality, but moving through and connecting apps together and having different buttons to hit might be the barrier, then we look for a tool that simplifies it. Again, if I'm moving around, I've used this tool extensively with adults in the community who are trying to move from place to place and read signs. I have someone who uses New Jersey Transit, and he uses this to snap a picture of the bus schedule for the day so he can read it while he's there. So it's real time, providing the support that someone might need in order to be successful. Really, really cool. Let's get that. And again, those videos are in there for you. I mentioned before this idea of speech to text. Again, this is not something you need to buy. You simply need to turn it on. You turn it on in your phone or your tablet, and there it lives in a little button that is a microphone. Search for it when you're typing, search for it when you're in a text message, whatever it might be. Click it and just talk to your device and let it type for you. We'll look at some note-taking things. I'm keeping an eye on the time, making sure I get to most of this, if not all. Let's see. Note-taking, if someone's out in the community, again, trying to be independent in the community, or they just recognize they're a poor note-taker. I don't know how many of us would be willing to raise our hand right now and say we're a poor note-taker. I will very much raise my hand. I am very bad at note-taking. So I rely on a lot of these tools. These tools, two different ones. One is called Audio Note. That's the one on the right. The one on the left is called Notability. What are some of the features that I love? They will let you record audio into a note you are writing, which I think is huge, so that I have the ability to go back at a later date and not only see the things I wrote or typed, but listen to that moment in time when I wrote them. Have you ever had that experience where you write a note and you go back to it a few days later and you're like, what does this even mean? I don't know why I wrote this. It doesn't make any sense now. Now I could go back and listen to that other moment when I wrote that, and that should hopefully trigger some memory of, oh, I wrote that because I need to do this or whatever it might be. So these two tools will do that in a really nice way. The Notability one also has that added feature as you're looking at the example of it on the left there. It allows me to insert pictures into notes and drawings. So not only can I put audio in there and text, I can handwrite, type, insert pictures, insert drawings, whatever I want to do. However, I remember things. It's flexible enough to give me those options. And then one other thing I want to say about note taking as a tool possibly is look to the tools from our big companies. Google has a tool called Keep, which is awesome. And it's like, imagine if you had a tool that was digital Post-it notes. That's Google Keep. You write a bunch of Post-it notes, you can attach reminders to them, you can color code them, add pictures to them. Whatever it is you want to do, those things can show up in a note. Microsoft has a tool called OneNote, which would be like a digital notebook, a notebook with chapters and pages in it. So it has more of that traditional kind of linear note-taking strategy versus Google Keep, which I would say is kind of the kind of scattered notes idea. And as you look, how many Post-it notes can I hold up in front of you that show you that I have them all on my desk here? I am a Post-it note person. So for me, Google Keep is very much aligned with the way I do things. It's quick reminders, pictures, and colors to help seal the information for me. Here's one other. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Rocketbook. The Rocketbook is a notebook where you can write on it and then snap a picture of that page, and it automatically transfers that page to your Google Drive or something like that. Pretty cool, because then you don't have to worry about where's the notebook I was just writing it. You can actually write in a notebook, send the page, and then erase the notebook page because you have it already digitally. Well, one of the things that Rocketbook is doing also is for those moments where you're out and about and there is writing somewhere. Think about maybe you're at a work meeting and you're all working on a piece of poster board paper. Maybe you're looking at a poster or some big piece of information on a wall somewhere and you want to capture it. They sell something called beacons, which are these little orange triangles that you can stick to the wall and then they re-stick. You can pull them off and re-stick them. Then you use the app on your phone to snap a picture of that, and it converts that paper material into digital that you can save. So that's all pretty cool. Now I found that if you get painter's tape that is orange and stick that to the wall in a triangle shape, it will act like the Rocketbook beacons. So that's kind of a quick and simple kind of do-it-yourself way that you might be able to perform this same task. So thinking about using that as an option for capturing notes when you're out and about. Was there a question? Oh, okay. I saw Melanie was asking if someone had a question. If you have a question and you want to throw it in the chat, or Melanie, if you want to stop me when I catch a breath, that works too. Let's talk a little bit about executive function support. This is huge because of the idea that executive function impacts everything we do throughout the day. You're using executive function support to perform activities. This is according to that definition there. Think about everything this impacts. You're using executive function support to perform activities such as planning, organizing, strategizing, paying attention to and remembering details, as well as managing time and space. This is one of those areas that touches on everything. And so thinking about how we can move forward with that. Now, I could have talked about calendars and things like that as a way to use this. And I think even some of the other tools we've looked at can be supports for executive function as well. Google Keep could be an executive function support. Microsoft OneNote could be. The note-taking tools, those are executive function supports. Calendars certainly are. I'm going to give you one that I don't know that a lot of people know about, and I think it is amazing. It is an app for Android, so it only works on Android devices. So if you're an Android user and you feel like you're constantly being ignored by Apple iPhone users in the world, here's your moment. Embrace it, enjoy. Action Blocks is an app free from Google. You put it on your device, it is free. It allows you to drop hotspot blocks on your home page that can then launch other things. So the example on the screen that I have on the left is my Android tablet. I made my Android tablet home screen into a simple augmentative communication device. Those blocks all have speech underneath them. So anytime I hit them, it will say a word or a phrase. I can also have them automatically dial someone's phone number or automatically manage something in my environment. If I connect my tablet to a Wi-Fi enabled plug in the wall that controls my light, I could tell my tablet, turn on the light or tap the button, and it would turn on the light. So it allows you to perform tasks right from your home screen. And what's really great is because they're on your home screen, you can move these to wherever you want. So you could have a home screen that was set up with apps that you use, and then you flip to another screen and it could just be blocks. Maybe it's AAC blocks to do communication. Flip to another one, it could be home automation and phone calls, all of there. So now suddenly you're able to customize the experience and make it simpler and more straightforward for someone to use their devices. Pretty cool. And the videos are there if you want to see them as well. So a really neat free app, Google Action Blocks. There's a couple others. You think about this idea that our calendars provide reminders to us, which is awesome. As long as, think about the reminder that pops up on your phone or the notifications that pop up on your phone, they are all text. If I'm not a good reader or a reader at all, if I'm a non-reader, how does a notification popping up on my screen necessarily help me? I don't know that it always does. So we look for other tools. Here's one that is a free tool that has a paid version, which is $2. This is something called the AIDA Reminder, AIDA. It's like every other reminder tool where you put in things you want to have notifications to remind you about. Great. The bonus feature here, and again, we start talking about features. It's the bonus. Bonus feature is in addition to the text that pops up on my screen, it can also have a picture attached to it. It can also have an audio clip attached to it. So you'll notice in that middle picture there, this is the list of someone's reminders. And the one reminder at the top says, take medication today at 12 o'clock. Great. There's a picture of the pill. Wonderful. That helps. I could also add a audio clip under there. Maybe that audio clip says, don't forget to take your medicine at 12. You take one white pill, one red and white pill. Make sure that you've eaten something first and drink some water with it. Or it might be, I can give additional information to help that person move forward with that beyond just simply seeing a box. I keep looking at my phone here. It's the visual cue for myself. I'm looking at my phone and all it has on it is just banners of things that have popped up since we've started, right? None of those are giving me any extra information. I see that it's my email. I see that it's something else, that my camera on the driveway saw something, probably the mailman. So it's giving me those notifications, but this gives me those supports in a different way that might make it a whole lot more effective for me to independently do this. So I would say a good use of $2 if you were to get the full device, the full app. Other things that might help. Here's one that allows you to create little visual schedules to help someone through the sequence of steps in an activity. Here's some things that this person needs to do every day. Get dressed, morning school routine, feed the dogs, Saturday chores, make a sandwich, and take a shower. Great, those are the things that person needs to do. What if the person struggles with the order of how to get dressed? Well, I can click on the schedule for get dressed, and it will be broken down into steps, steps with a picture and text that can be read out loud. Put your socks on, find a shirt, make sure it's not wrinkled. Go through my morning, make sure it looks okay. Thinking about that as you go through, they can move through those steps. And because it's automated on their device, they can watch it as many times as they need to in order to be successful in that activity. I mentioned calendars before. What about this idea of a calendar that has extra supports in it? This is a tool called the Visual Schedule Planner. Not only is it a calendar, but you see how it takes this information and chunks it. Morning, afternoon, evening. It has tasks written down there. Each of these tasks has a picture to support them. Some of them have a checklist, which will give you some steps of how to do things. On the picture on the left, it says brush teeth at 7:35. Picture, a check mark that I've done it. And then next to it, there's a picture of a clipboard. If I tap on the clipboard, it's going to break that down into steps. Get my toothbrush, get the toothpaste, put the toothpaste on, make sure you rinse it with some water. All of those pieces to help someone go through that. The other thing about this calendar app also is you can embed video clips in there. So if the person has a task they need to accomplish that they might need some visual support, you can upload a video clip in there and have them watch it. Again, changing the idea of a calendar, enhancing the idea of a calendar. So is it a calendar? Yes. But it's a calendar with all these other pieces as someone goes forward to help them be successful. Then there's things like pill reminders, similar to the ATA reminder that I showed you, which could be everything. This one specifically for someone's medication throughout the day. When do you take it? What is it? How many do you take? How many do you have left? You can manage your prescriptions through some tool like this, which is a pill reminder. So really a great way to do it. And then here's another one that I've used, and I have a really positive reaction to this because I like this idea of giving someone visual cues for the things that they need to be doing, but also a sense of how much time has elapsed and how much time is left. So this is a visual daily planner. If you look at the picture on the right-hand side, that is what would show up on the person's phone. It's saying, oh, you're eating lunch. It started at 12 and it goes till 12:30. You've already done 10 minutes-ish, and you have 19 minutes left. So as the time goes by, that blue ring would fill in around the icon. That person gets a visual cue of how much time has happened already in this task and how much time is to go. Instead of that person having to say, how much time is left before lunch is over? Well, look at your little circle there, and you'll get a visual cue of about how much time. Love that. I think it's great. All right, we'll wrap up with some kind of generic-y not generic-y, but kind of broad community living supports. We'll start with voice assistants because I love talking about these. These are in our houses. I'm sure all of us in the group either have one or know someone in our family that does. So these are tools that have now crossed over into very much a mainstream support you might see in a house. But let's change that a little bit and think about how is this an assistive technology tool for someone? Some of the ways people are using these already is smart home applications, lighting, security, appliances, controlling things and connecting to things, running home entertainment. This is the idea of using these tools to facilitate independence. Getting an Alexa that sits on your desk, and mine's going to start talking in a second, but you have one that sits there. I can use that as the control panel to manage the lights throughout my house. So if I get bulbs that are wirelessly connected or plugs that can plug in and will wirelessly connect, suddenly I have this ability to manage all of the things in my environment. I think what's really interesting about this idea of using Alexas, and again, I go back to this idea of technology, how it was and what it is now. When we think about smart home systems from 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we are talking about systems that were on average to control some things around your house, $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 to control these things. Now we're talking about an Amazon product that I can probably get on sale for 40 bucks, 30 bucks. If you want a screen, maybe 40 bucks. If you don't want a screen, maybe 30 bucks. And that can be a hub. And then I start tacking onto it all of these little pieces I might need, maybe some plugs, some lights. Each of them is maybe $20, $25. What we end up with is a very complete system for someone for several $100s that is flexible enough that we can keep building it and customizing it as we go. Here's a device. This is called the SwitchBot. I love the idea of this. Think about anything in your house that has a physical button on it that needs to be pressed. Like I might think of my printer. I just looked over at my printer and thought of that. The printer has a button on it. You can take this SwitchBot and tape it to the front of your printer. And when you hit a button on the app, a little arm comes out of the front of it and just taps the button and turns it on and then goes back in. And then when I hit the button on my switch on the app again, hit the app button again, the little button will come out and turn the switch off. So it's basically, it's giving you a automated finger that you might use to do something in the room. So I don't have to physically go over to the printer and push the button, either for simplicity, for ease of use. Maybe I'm unable to go over to the printer and push the button. Now I can get one of these things and use it to push buttons on different devices as I go forward. And so thinking about how you might use those becomes really fun. Smart plugs, we've talked about. Thinking about home automation, smart plugs, smart thermostats, smart devices that are appliances. We're seeing a lot of these tools that have the voice assistant built into them. You know, I have a microwave that I can now tell it what I want to do. I don't have to do it. I don't have to go over there and program it on the display. I can just say, microwave this popcorn. Microwave on high for 3 minutes, whatever it might be. And suddenly it just does that. You know, thinking about how I navigate through that. Security cameras, I mentioned I got the notification on my phone about the camera on the driveway. I can put those through the house. I could have a doorbell. I could have cameras to support someone, to be able to connect with them if they are living remotely from me. And we have a way to stay connected through cameras. And now we're at a point where even something like that camera on the left, it's like a $30 camera now. And it runs right through the Amazon products or the app on your phone. And you can have two-way communication with somebody just by one of these, which is really simple and easy. I love it. Automated blinds and curtains. You could go with an example on the left, which is things that are a little more complex. That's a motor on the top of the curtains that would then control how the curtains open or how they raise and lower. Or you can look at, remember our friends, the SwitchBot 2 slides ago. The SwitchBot has a curtain rod tool, which basically clips over your curtain rod, and then it has little wheels on it. And when you hit open, the little wheels roll across the curtain rod and pull the curtain with it. And when you say, you know, that would be close it. And then when you want to open it, hit the button the other way, and it brings the wheels along the curtain rod the other way. Inexpensive, simple to use. It's kind of mechanical and using the curtain rod as its guide as it opens those things and closes them. And then security, we have ways to open and close doors. That could be voice control, fingerprint control, Bluetooth control, any of these things to give someone options of how they move forward and do this. If keys are not going to be a solution for someone, or that's difficult for someone to do, to manage a door and its lock and things like that. And GPS trackers, we're seeing a lot of that. We're talking a lot about that with people. They can be as simple as the item in the middle of the screen is just a basic GPS tracker. Looks like about the size of a quarter, or even the tile devices that are on the bottom right that you could then someone could have on them. You know, I have one of those tiles in my backpack. So when I inherently leave it somewhere, I can figure out where I left it. So simple solutions. You have the Angel Sense, which is the single SOS button, which is on the left, or even they have it now built into a watch that someone would wear. So not only are they getting the functionality of a watch out of that, it also acts as a tracker to support them so family can keep up with where that individual is if they need to. And then some basic daily living supports. I thought I would throw them in there. They're kind of fun to think about. What I would like to point out to that is I would like to focus on the two things on the right-hand side, the two pictures, which are 3D printed supports for daily living aid. We're seeing more of this now. 3D printers are becoming more available in our environments, and we might be able to tap into them to where you can make your own assistive technology devices. The one on the top on the right-hand side is a lever to help someone push down on a lotion dispenser. It's 3D printed and it just snaps onto the bottle. Could you buy it? Sure. But if someone in your house has a 3D printer and you can get the file offline, why not print it? The bottom right is other examples of 3D printed tools, a button loop, a buttoner, a key turner, which is the picture on the bottom right there of that picture on the bottom of our slide. The one that has a handle that's kind of a U-shaped handle is for plastic bags. Now, I recognize we don't really have plastic bags anymore here in New Jersey, but maybe a canvas bag that we all have 700 of them in our car. Use that for the straps of your canvas bag. So just kind of interesting, different experiences of those technology tools. All right, I talked fast. I know I did. I feel like I got to everything I wanted to. Let's see. Let me see what people are saying in the chat. Sorry. Now you're going to watch me read for a second. I apologize.
Mike, I know that there is someone earlier in the presentation that was asking about a device that had Proloquo to go on it, and the individual erased, I think, the program from it, and the parent is looking for some advice of who could help them set that up.
Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's really interesting because that's not something typically that we do. And now I start to think about what is it that we do, but would someone in the community help with that perhaps? I have to think about that. The person who wrote that, I'll go back to the slide with my email on it. Email me about that because I'll find somebody that might be able to provide a little support. There's my email address.
It is a complicated process, right?
It is kind of
If you've never
complicated,
done
yes.
it before, until you get used to it, it is a little bit cumbersome, but
it is tricky,
once you
right?
get in the process, it's sort of second nature, I think. So
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that I'll think about who might be a good example of someone that could help do that. I think that's a really good question.
Mike, before we disconnect, I do want to make sure that you have opportunity to go through the chat section. There are a lot of direct messages coming to both you and I in regards to people's positive comments, sharing that this information that you shared today was really valuable. And I think it's worth saying we do this specifically to assist individuals with intellectual developmental disabilities, but as we see this information helps all of us, right? The devices that you are sharing today, it's valuable for any of us to actually access, and for many different reasons. So I think it's always nice to see how these devices are much broader than what we often think about. It's for the broader community. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. And for everybody, I see there are a handful of questions here. I don't know if I'll get to all of them.
There is one specifically. Is there anything new to seizure detection technology that you know about? The person's neurologist had said it was not perfected yet a few years ago. Is there anything new?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's always talk about um companies that are doing research on wearable devices that would detect the signals in your body when that was about to happen. Um, I haven't seen anything new that says that those things are out and available for people yet. But I always think that's kind of interesting. I think that's an interesting area to watch with this idea of any wearable that's detecting the change in your body that happens prior to a seizure. But off the top of my head, I don't know anything that's new about that.
And to the individual who asked that question, we do have a contact at the epilepsy, one of the epilepsy affiliates, who collaborates with a few of the different states that may have some really specific resources in regards to that question.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm looking through the chat to see what other people have said. The SAMI device for seizure detection while sleeping. I think that's really good. Yeah.
Fran was sharing a ton of really valuable resources throughout the session, so I appreciate that.
I love it. I appreciate that too. Thank you. I'll admit I'll give you a little glimpse behind my scenes here. Usually I get to just talk and Naomi's in the background and she answers these questions amazingly each time. And she's not here today with us, but now I appreciate how much she's answering in the chat every time. So thank you for everybody who answered each other, which is wonderful. I think that's the way we learn about these things more, is that we share our experiences and what we've seen.
Absolutely. I'm gonna have to make sure that I tell Naomi you said something.
Oh, I'll tell her. I'm gonna email her right when we're done. I'll be like, hey, by the way.
Oh, that's great. Again, we see the value of the information that you shared by so many of the comments coming in directly to the host and panelists. So Mike, I'm sure it's hard to sort of find the questions based.
It is. It's hard to sort through them.
Yeah. But also someone saying Embrace Watch for seizure monitors is great also.
I think that's great.
Yeah,
these are wonderful. These are great to learn about, because these are things that also we have these conversations with people all the time about things that they know about in the community that are working. These give us things that we can then purchase for our lending center. So these things help when I start seeing the examples of different things, because then we can look to, oh, if we want to update our lending center, what would we maybe get? And so these are great examples. So thank you. I appreciate
absolutely. That. You know, I again, no surprise about the positive comments coming in. I think we all really received a lot of very valuable resources, Mike, from you today. Everyone, as you can see, we have the Community Living Education Project contacts on your screen. Please feel free to reach out to the numbers on your screen for either Natalie Trump or myself. Again, Melanie McGackin, and the rest of our CLEP team. Emails are below, so feel free to reach out if you have any questions at all. We also have a QR code to sign up to receive any of the CLEP newsletters, special announcements, upcoming webinars such as this. I did put some of those links in the chat feature as Mike was presenting, so feel free to register for the upcoming sessions. I think our next one is the open mic session with Mike. So feel free to bring all your questions. It's really open to any assistive technology questions that you may have. Mike and Naomi don't have the answer. They're great at getting you a resource that does.
If you want to come to a webinar and watch someone frantically web search while you're staring at them, come to that session. That'll be fantastic.
It's wonderfully entertaining.
It isn't entertaining, right? We will come with very little planned, and instead we'll ask the group to drive the discussion. And I think that will be it's always a much richer discussion when we all share. So definitely join us. It'll be fun.
From each other in those situations, right? It's quite often the individuals that have walked the paths before us who have had lived experience, and again, the professional knowledge that you bring to the sessions that all equal a wonderful conversation. Mike, can you just advance the slide also?
Sure can.
And this is going to be the QR code. You can feel free, please, to take a quick snapshot of that. It's the information that you share with us that allows us to better serve the community moving forward. It takes about 20 seconds, multiple choice, really quick to do. So please feel free to think that. You're also going to see the survey pop up on your screen, possibly, if technology works well, as we're saying goodbye. And again, today we had actually an incredible turnout for this
was great.
presentation. We had a lot of people signed on, so I am really grateful but not surprised. It really highlights the strong demand for this information within the disability community, and we are happy to be able to serve you. CLEP is really grateful for the support that we, New Jersey Division of Developmental Disabilities, also known as DDD, along with professionals like Mike, whose contributions really make these presentations possible. So as a professional in the field and also a parent myself, I really want to acknowledge your continued commitment and publicly share CLEP's appreciation for their dedication to this community and to these wonderful topics such as this. So Mike, thank you so much as always. If anyone has any questions, any follow-up needed, please feel free to reach out. We will send a copy of the recording out over the next week, along with a copy of the presentation, both the PowerPoint and the presentation recording. Mike, as always, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Melanie. Good seeing you.
We will see you next month.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Be well.